Welcome to our Careers in Clinical Research presentation. We're excited that you have an interest in learning more about careers in clinical research. My name is Beth Harper, and I'm the Workforce Innovation Officer for the Association of Clinical Research Professionals, or ACRP. I have been involved in many different careers in clinical research for over 35 years, and I'm very pleased to share more with you about what has been an incredibly rewarding career for me. In this 15-minute presentation, I will be sharing everything you need to know about finding your element in the clinical research industry and the opportunities for a rewarding career. At the end, I hope you are inspired to find your element and embark on a lifelong career as a clinical research professional. I'll be covering all of these topics. First, what is clinical research? How does it make a difference, and why should you consider a career in clinical research? What types of jobs and careers are involved? What is the job growth potential and salary opportunities? Who makes a good clinical research professional? And how to get started. How many of you have ever taken a prescription medication? How many of you know someone who has had their hip replaced or had a pacemaker implanted? How many of you know how new medical treatments get developed and approved? How many of you have ever actually heard of clinical research? Even if you didn't answer yes to the last two questions, you probably indirectly know about clinical research if you have ever taken a prescription medication or know someone who has had a medical device implanted. Let's explore more about what clinical research is in the next slide. In this next section, we'll cover the basics of clinical research, what it is, the different types of clinical research, how it differs from other types of research, and a little bit about the clinical research process. Clinical research is a form of medical research which involves the study and use of human subjects to further scientific knowledge. It determines the safety and effectiveness of medications, devices, diagnostic products, and treatment regimens that are intended for human use. Clinical research aims to help prevent, treat, diagnose, or relieve symptoms of a disease, and it is done through a clinical trial in which a group of patients are used to test a new medication, treatment, or medical device. Because this type of research involves the use of human subjects, it is accompanied with a number of legal and ethical issues. So studies must be carefully vetted by ethics committees and government organizations which oversee medical research. There are many different types of clinical research. Following along the imagery of our element campaign, the periodic table of elements concept is used to depict the different types of research. All of these types of research involve people to some extent, as distinct from basic laboratory research. Treatment research generally involves an intervention such as medication, psychotherapy, new devices, or new approaches to surgery or radiation therapy. Prevention research looks for better ways to prevent disorders from developing or returning. Different kinds of prevention research may study medications, vitamins, vaccines, minerals, or lifestyle changes. Diagnostic research refers to the practice of looking for better ways to identify a particular disorder or condition. Screening research aims to find the best ways to detect certain disorders or health conditions. Quality of life research explores ways to improve comfort and the quality of life for individuals with a chronic illness. Genetic studies aim to improve the prediction of disorders by identifying and understanding how genes and illnesses may be related. Research in this area may explore ways in which a person's genes make him or her more or less likely to develop a disorder. This may lead to the development of tailor-made treatments based on a patient's genetic makeup. And finally, epidemiological studies seek to identify the patterns, causes, and control of disorders in groups of people. So how is clinical research different from other types of research? Simply stated, what is most different is that clinical research involves the testing in humans versus animals or in the lab. So we have three types of research: basic or foundational research, translational research, and clinical research. In basic or foundational research, the purpose is to understand at a very basic level some aspect of biology. Translational research is needed to show that a drug or device works in some living system, such as animals, before it is used on humans. And then clinical research is designed to test the safety and effectiveness of these new drugs, diagnostic tests, and devices that could be used in the detection, treatment, prevention, or tracking of a disease. The purposes are different, there's some important aspects that are different, and the funding source is often different. For example, in basic or foundational research, the government, such as the National Institutes of Health or NIH, is often the primary funder of the research. Government, universities, patient associations are often the ones supporting financially the translational research, whereas clinical research is typically funded by the pharmaceutical or medical device companies that are trying to get a product approved for sale and use in humans. This slide shows the basics of the research and development process for testing a new drug. A similar process is done for medical devices. This shows where clinical trials or clinical research comes into the full picture of the development process. Let's take a moment to review. First, we have the research phase. That includes drug discovery, preclinical or IND, the investigational new drug application. It typically involves screening of 5,000 to 10,000 different compounds in the discovery phase to test in preclinical or the animal testing and lab testing phase to get to about 250 compounds that ultimately end up in about one compound that's ready to proceed to clinical trials. The IND or investigational new drug application is filed with the Food and Drug Administration in the US to get basically permission to start testing in humans. The development phase includes the clinical trials phase. For an investigational new drug, that typically involves 3 different phases, phase 1, 2, and 3. And you can see the different number of volunteers that are included in each phase, starting off with a small number, progressing up to perhaps 1,000 or 5,000 volunteers where the drug is tested in phase 3 clinical trials. Once the pharmaceutical company feels they have enough safety and efficacy data to support getting that product approved, they will file a new drug application or NDA with the FDA or the equivalent regulatory agency in other countries. It will go through a review and market authorization process and ultimately scale up to manufacturing once the NDA is approved. Finally, there are post-marketing surveillance or phase 4 trials that are continuing to ongo once a drug has been approved and marketed for sale. Spend a moment just to look at some of the other data in terms of how long it takes to go through each phase, what the chances of success are, and the percent of funding that it takes to support each stage of the research and development process. Let's look at the value of clinical research, how it makes a difference, and why you might want to consider a career in clinical research. Did you know that it is estimated that every 66 seconds someone in the US develops Alzheimer's disease? Did you know that the number of new cancer cases per year is expected to rise to 23.6 million globally by the year 2030? Did you know that cancer is among the leading causes of death worldwide? In fact, in 2012, there were 14.1 million new cases and 8.2 cancer-related deaths worldwide. You could be part of the clinical research team that helps to combat these and many other scary statistics. Now that you understand a little bit more about what clinical research is and the clinical research process, how does it actually make a difference? Well, pharmaceutical, medical device, and healthcare innovation improve public health. Medical discoveries have increased life expectancy and improved the quality of life for many people around the world. And not only do these advances improve the physical and mental health of individuals, but they reduce hospitalization and other healthcare costs. These are just some of the many benefits that clinical research makes in developing new, innovative treatments. Despite these advances, we still have lots of challenges, and we need talented people to help solve them. Thanks to the dedication of clinical research professionals, we have had a direct impact on helping individuals across a whole range of diseases. Take a moment to look at some of the facts and figures here. Certainly, you're also welcome to visit the World Health Organization to learn more about the global burdens and impact of diseases. Besides having an impact on public health, a career in clinical research has a lot of potential from the perspective of being a high growth area. Being part of the healthcare sector, this is not only a stable but an expanding area, so there's a high likelihood that once you find a job, you'll have a long and successful career. Combine the overall growth of the healthcare sector with rapid growth of new technologies and innovations, clinical research presents a huge employment opportunity which should see continued growth for a long time. A career in clinical research will give you the opportunity to advance scientific discovery, an ability to improve individuals' lives, and a chance to be involved in a challenging and rewarding career. What types of careers and jobs are actually involved? Well, let's take a look at where you could be working in the next few slides. Clinical researchers work in a whole variety of settings, from home offices to hospitals and medical offices, research centers, pharmaceutical and medical device companies, and contract research organizations. Regardless of the type of organization you work for and how you interact with the various institutions, you'll be part of a larger team even if you work in one specific area. There are two different types of job categories for which clinical research professionals work: those that work directly with patients or research subjects, and those that play supportive roles and don't interact directly with patients. This slide lists the primary types of patient-facing roles, such as principal investigators, clinical research nurses, clinical research coordinators, and clinical research pharmacists. The CRC, or clinical research coordinator role, and the clinical trial assistant role, as noted on the next slide, are common entry points into a career in clinical research, and from there the possibilities are really unlimited based on your interests and additional educational background. This slide describes the wide range of supportive roles that clinical research professionals play. These are many of the common roles that don't involve direct patient interaction, such as a clinical trial assistant, a clinical research associate, CRA or study monitor, drug safety specialists, biostatisticians, study managers or project managers, data scientists, data coordinators, analysts, and data managers, quality assurance specialists and auditors, medical officers, clinical business analysts, and medical writers. These are just a few, and as noted on this and the previous slide, some of them do require a medical degree, but many roles exist for those with some basic biological, health sciences, other healthcare types of backgrounds. Previously, we alluded to the fact that clinical research is in a high growth sector, but let's take a more detailed look at the job growth potential and salary opportunities for clinical research professionals. This slide shows a snapshot of the number of clinical trials being conducted worldwide per the clinicaltrials.gov registry of clinical trials as of early January 2020. From this slide, we can see there's a huge volume of clinical trials, so the demand for clinical research professionals is high and continues to grow. A recent search on Career One Stop highlights nearly 50,000 current jobs available in the U.S. This illustrates the high volume of clinical research professional opportunities that exist, at least in a snapshot in time. This is a snapshot of a job search on the website Indeed, which showcases the number of job opportunities in the U.S. for entry-level, mid-level, and senior-level clinical research professionals. Again, this reinforces the large potential range of job opportunities available, as well as the growth opportunities to advance to different levels. Finally, this slide is a snapshot from the CNN Money website that shows clinical research associates, or CRAs, are in the top 100 best jobs. This is an area that's had an 8% growth rate. In fact, in 2012, it was listed as number 4 out of 100 top jobs, and it also has a very high quality of life rating. While the roles fluctuate in terms of their rankings on this list, this just showcases that the jobs in clinical research have high potential and high ratings. What could you expect salary-wise for some of these key roles? Obviously, this varies by region and by your experience and so forth, but For the three primary roles, CTA, CRC, and CRA, you can see the range from $30,000 all the way up to potential $108,000 as a typical salary for some of these key roles in clinical research. Hopefully we've piqued your interest in all of the exciting opportunities and the value and impact that clinical research brings. But who makes a great clinical research professional? How do you know if this is a good fit for you? We'll explore the elements of a great clinical research professional in the next few slides. Do you have a passion for science but don't always know the fields to apply beyond the traditional roles such as nursing, pharmacy, medical, or veterinary doctor? Do you want a pay-it-forward career or profession? Do you want to combine your interests in cutting-edge science, medicine, and business, all the while directly advancing potential new medicines for patients in need? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you're probably going to be a great clinical research professional. This slide defines some of the characteristics of successful clinical research professionals in more detail, specifically looking at the knowledge, skills and abilities, attitudes and behaviors, or overall competencies that make a successful clinical research professional. Take a moment to study these and see if you recognize any of these characteristics or attributes in yourself. So where do you go from here? How to get started in learning more about clinical research careers and actually embarking on your clinical research journey. We invite you to visit ACRP's website, acrpnet.org, to learn more. Under our Careers in Clinical Research campaign, you can learn more about finding your element and hear video testimonials from clinical research professionals. You can visit our Getting Started in Clinical Research section where you can learn more about the steps to follow to actually start getting involved in a career and more about the educational requirements, other roles, and career lattices and ladders for clinical research professionals. Thank you again for your interest. We wish you success and look forward to welcome you as a new and lifelong member of ACRP as you pursue a career in clinical research. Good luck.